Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the June 9, 2022 Commissioners Workshop meeting. If you would please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. At this time, I open up the floor to public comments. Okay, so hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on then to agenda item number 3. And Commissioners, this is an action requested item. We had previously tabled the recognition of Lucy Wynn, the 2022 American Honey Queen. And I would like a motion to untable.
Move to untable the recognition of Lucy Wynn, the 2022 American Honey Queen.
I second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
On the agenda.
We'll move on then to agenda item number 4, and that is recognition of Lucy Wynn, the 2022 American Honey Queen. And Commissioner Eichelberger, I'd call on you, please.
Very good. Welcome, Lucy. We're going to ask you to come up with us. It's this thing that we do here. So we are going to put you front and center. We feel very privileged to have Lucy with us today. Lucy Wynn is from Carlisle. She has been selected as the 2022 Honey Queen, Pennsylvania Honey Queen. You're the American Honey Queen, but for the last 2 years you served in the statewide role for that. Is that correct? Okay. And that job, you are a sophomore at DeSales University. All right. And so your job here is to help promote the beekeeping industry. We hear a lot about that these days, a lot of news about that, and of course the decline in pollinators population and such. So your job is to promote the industry. And if you wouldn't mind, could you give us a little information on how you promote that, why you do that job?
Absolutely, thank you. So I'm the national spokesperson for the beekeeping and honey industries. I work for the National Honey Board and the American Beekeeping Federation. For the past 2 years previous, I was the Pennsylvania Honey Queen, so I worked on promoting within the Commonwealth. And I now travel the country, going to schools, state fairs, civic organizations, to talk and media opportunities to talk about the importance of honeybees and pollination. So honeybees are responsible for 80% of pollination across America. There are over 150 crops that depend on honeybee pollination from coast to coast, and over 300 different varieties of honey that honeybees make in the country. So they're an incredibly important livestock. It's important to talk about their role in agriculture and why we need to continue to strive to protect them.
Great. Do you get to try all 300 types of honey?
I'm working on
that. Okay. Be able to tell them all apart from each other. So, well, that's pretty impressive, and that's obviously very important stuff. So we're pleased to have you. You're from Carlisle, and again, you serve as statewide representative, and now you are representative for the nation.
Yes.
So we're very proud of that, and very proud of you. And we want to recognize your role here. So the Board of Commissioners has prepared a certificate. We're going to present this to you in a moment. I'd like to read it so we have as part of the record, so everybody gets a fuller understanding of what you just told us. So I'll just breeze through this. Cumberland County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes and honors Lucy Wynn as the 2022 American Honey Queen, a national honor. The 20-year-old Carlisle native. You're never supposed to reveal your age, I was told. But okay, it's a new day. The 20-year-old Carlisle native was crowned earlier this year, made her first official appearance at the Pennsylvania Farm Show in January. Beekeeping developed into a passion for Lucy when she took over the duties of the family apiary. Am I pronouncing it right? Apiary. Okay, just like the P. Apiary. You were age 13 at the time, and that was after your sister went to college. So I assume that means you inherited the responsibility from her. So you are currently majoring in business management and marketing at DeSales University. And in your free time, if you have any of that left, she continues to maintain 7 backyard hives, along with walking the dog, throwing pottery, and reading. All good undertakings. So you served as the Pennsylvania Honey Queen in the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021. And your job, as you explained, was promoting beekeeping at fairs, festivals, schools, and through various interviews. As the American Honey Queen, Lucy is busy traveling, educating people about the importance of honeybees and their effect on so many parts of our agriculture and food production, which of course is a backbone industry here in our county. So the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners wants to recognize you, Lucy, for your achievement and your contribution to agriculture here in our county and across the nation. And we're going to present this to you now. Today is the 9th of June, and it's signed by the commissioners. We hope you'll display this proudly. I'm going to provide this to you. And we're going to do a little photo op here as well. Okay, so.
Hey, that looks great. Give me a smile. One more. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Congratulations. Stacy told you already, this was the highlight of the meeting, so everything's downhill from here. So you're free to go forth and promote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5. This is contracts and grants. Commissioners, there are contracts in section 1, which is existing contracts, extensions, or addenda with no additional costs or increase to the county for children and youth. Do you have any questions about those contracts? All right, we'll move on then to section 2, which is new contracts, vendor services, grants, and contracts with increases or decreases to the county. And I'll start by calling on Kim Winton to discuss aging and community services contracts. Kim?
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. The contract with Information Age Technologies is to purchase a software system. It's called Copilot. This system allows us to import the data from each of the 6 senior centers directly into our SAM system, which is currently being done manually. The second one, traditional home care, is to provide personal care and home support services for eligible seniors in our options program. The Salvation Army is an addendum for a grant for COVID expenses. And Contact Helpline and is an addendum for additional funds for information and referral services.
Do you have any questions for Kim?
No.
All right, thanks so much, Kim.
Thank you.
We'll move on to section B, which is children and youth, and I'll call in Jamie River to discuss the contracts for children and youth. Jamie?
Good morning, Commissioners. The first one that we have is Hempfield Behavioral Health. They provide our multi-systemic therapy for youth. Their per diem is set by Perform Care that oversees our behavioral health services. They actually allowed them to have an increase of $722.38 a week, but they are only asking for $628.18 a week. So we did approve that increase for them. ABC, Alternative Behavioral Consultants, they provide all of our parenting skills, assessments, trainings, and visitation services. They are very heavily used by our office and very, very highly recommended by our courts. They have increases coming in between 2% and 4.76%. They had no increases last fiscal year, and they have had a lot of changes that they've made to provide for our clients, especially during COVID and moving forward. The last one I have is the Youth Aid Panel, Lisa Harrison. She provides this for the Juvenile Probation Department. She is requesting a 2% increase, and she has not had increases for several years. And this is due to the fact that she has increased from holding 12 panels to up to 56 panels this March. So she needs some additional assistance there.
Any questions for Jamie? Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Section C is District Attorney CID, and Detective Aaron Lewis is here to discuss the grant application.
Morning, Commissioners. Okay, this is for approval for the law enforcement grant from the PA Gaming Control Board. This grant is for the 2022-2023 term. It funds one detective, me, and 50% of one of the ADAs. Provides for the investigation of illegal gambling in the county. So we've had this grant now for 2 years, and what we're focusing on are these games of skill. You see them in convenience stores and different retail locations. Last year, we removed 24 games from a couple of locations and approximately $50,000 in cash. We have criminal charges pending against one of the store owners, and the other one is in civil litigation right now. We've identified nearly 60 retail locations with about 250 machines in the county, and that's not counting the bars and pubs. These are just convenience stores and other retail locations. So this grant that we're applying for would permit us to continue this work.
Any questions?
That's a pretty widespread violation.
They're all over the place, and because these machines aren't monitored by anybody. There's no taxes being paid. There's no revenue being gained by any governmental agency, and these businesses just continue to operate with these machines and without any repercussion. And they target them. They put them in retail locations that sell lottery tickets. So it has effects on people and lottery sales. Just it's a wide variety. It's a wide problem that it's actually nationwide. It's not just in Pennsylvania. It's all over. So.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Brent Durham. And Brent, I'm just going to tell you that at least from our, and as we're looking at it, maybe you're seeing it too, you are flickering in and out. So if I say something weird, it is because I am totally distracted by that. So we do have Brent Durham. He is here to discuss 2 facilities management contracts. So Brent, take it away.
Yeah, Stacy, it was flashing on my screen as well, so I'll turn the video off so we're not distracting you. Good morning, everyone. The first up is this is a lease agreement is with Orlo Carlisle 3 LLC to lease 3,076 square feet of office space at 417 Village Drive in Carlisle. This is a 5-year and 6-month agreement with an option to renew for an additional 5 years. The rental payments will not begin until the end of the first 6 months or upon a move-in date, whichever comes first. The lease rate will be at $14 per square foot for the first 2.5 years. It will then increase by 3% to $14.42 for the next 2.5 years. The 5-year renewal option is set at a 4% increase to $15 a square foot. We're proposing to relocate MDJ Friedman to this location, which is why this agreement is before you. As I mentioned previously, the relocation is really security driven. With the new location and renovations, we've been able to address most, if not all, of the security concerns that they have shared with us. Some of the enhancements with the new location, there'll be a much quicker state police response time. This location is within 2 minutes of the state police barracks. The location was actually vetted as well by the Pennsylvania State Police. They were over on one of our visits to look around and see what we were looking at doing. Prisoner visibility. Currently, their current location of prisoner needs escorted through the main lobby. This layout, they will come in a back door. They will step into the building and step directly into a cell. So there will not be any, and it's a very secluded area as well. Bathroom. Currently, the public has to come through the staff area to access a bathroom. Prisoners use that same bathroom. So the prisoners need brought through staff area currently. This is a huge issue for the passage of potential passage of contraband. Our cell block, the cell block in our design is separated from the courtroom and staff area. Should a prisoner get use, it's not that way currently. Per AOPC, the attorney-client rooms are to be behind secured doors rather than accessible directly from the lobby like it is now. So these are all the things that we are addressing from the security standpoint. A couple other comparisons for you. This new location is about 400 square feet larger. And because of the renovation we're doing, we'll be able to right size some of the rooms. The courtroom will be able to be a little larger. The break room a little smaller. They'll have larger storage area, which they need because currently they have a lot of files just in hallways out there. Lastly, would be the price. Currently we're paying $14.42 a square foot out there, which will go up by 3% in 4.5 years to $14.85. So the square foot price is very comparable to what they have now. Any questions on that one?
Brent, I do have one quick question. So the issues you identified, are they largely unique to this location? But we don't have.
The issues that I'm identifying are the issues that they have at their current location, which by moving them to this new location, we are solving just about all of these issues.
Yeah, I wasn't clear. So are our other MDJ locations going to face similar issues, or is this one the problem one?
We have renovated several of the DJ offices in the last 5 to 10 years. And many of these issues are addressed at those locations, Gary. I can't say that there's not some locations that still have potential. Some of these potential issues are still there.
All right. Thank you.
So I'll move on then. The next is the lease agreement is with Green Ridge Leasing for the property located at 8 Bayshore Road in Mechanicsburg. This location is where the county coroner is located. This is a 5-year lease agreement at $9.64 per square foot. It is an increase of $1.03 per square foot, or $16,763.40 over the 5-year term. The rate of $9.64 is still a very competitive rate that we are pleased with. This lease also has an option to renew for another 5 years with the rate to be determined based on Consumer Price Index inflation calculator. I was trying to get a 10-year commitment from the owners, and they had serious inflation concerns. And this was sort of a middle ground that we were able to agree upon.
Brent, just refresh my memory. We have room to potentially expand there if needed, because I know there's been a proposal floated for that.
Correct. That's the space that we looked at in 2018 is still available. I spoke with the owners there in mid-April, and they were willing at that point in time to lease that space to us at the rate that I just mentioned.
Okay.
Unless something changed in the last month and a half, the space is still available.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions for Brent? Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you, Brent. We'll move on then to Human Resources, and Holly Sherman is here with us to discuss the continuation.
Good morning, Commissioners. I realize this looks like a significant increase, but I want to provide an explanation for that. We typically do engage in a 3-year contract with Ms. Hertzler, our workers' comp processor. Last year, the year prior, we chose to extend a 1-year extension due to the pending sale of the nursing home. So now that has concluded, we are recommended to enter into a 3-year agreement, and our annual rate is actually decreased about $1,500 a year due to that sale. So yes, big increase from the 1 year, but an overall decrease of about $2,800 over the life of the contract.
Any questions? All right, we'll move on then to Liquid Fuels Finance. I'll call on Kirk Stoner. Kirk?
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. We have a change order for about $30,637 for debris removal at the Bridge C-17, which is one of our bridges in our bridge bundle. There's debris in the stream that needs to be removed to complete our replacement project.
Any questions for Kirk? Thank you, Kirk. Sue Carbaugh is here to discuss the contract for MHIDD. Sue?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. So the contract that we have today is for early intervention is for Leanne Broadbent, who is a speech therapist. This contract is a renewal contract for next fiscal year, 22-23. It is a decrease. Her contract will be at $16,346 to start. As I said, it is a decrease, but throughout the year, we will be amending her contract as she picks up more children. Any questions?
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
All right, Ron Snow is covering for Justin, who wasn't available today for recycling and waste. Ron?
Good morning, Commissioners. So we're asking for approval on the annual DEP recycling performance grant application, which is authorized by Section 904 of Act 101. And this is a rewards-based grant based on tons of residential and commercial material recycled in the previous calendar year. The current estimate for 2021 is $11,405.05 based on that tonnage of recycling.
Any questions for Ron? Thank you, Ron. I will note, apparently Justin didn't send the background for you to use. So step it up next time, please.
Sorry.
We'll move on then to agenda item number 6. And I'll actually call on Ron again to discuss an increase to the credit limit for a WEX card.
Yeah, we're asking for approval of a credit increase on the WEX card, and this is the card that we use to purchase gas in county vehicles. So we're feeling the pressure of gas prices increases, so we're bumping up against our credit limit. So we're asking to approve the limit from $28,100 to $40,000, which is $11,900 credit limit increase.
Any questions for Ron? Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 7 and number 8 are closely related. We have Mary Kuna with us to discuss both of these agenda items, which are appointment recommendations for both the Cumberland County Housing Authority as well as the Cumberland County Redevelopment Authority. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, everyone. So we have had a board member decide that this would be his last term on both the Housing and the Redevelopment Authority boards. So Roland Schiff-Fenton was a great asset, and he was with us for 14 years on the board and has just decided to enjoy retirement. So in searching for a board member, there were some things to consider, particularly because these are boards that are dealing with federal regulations and are federally regulated as well as state regulated. It was looking for someone who would be compatible with our mission, but also compatible with our any conflicts of interest. So Candace Neff Hull has been a resident of Cumberland County since birth and has been an active member of the community. Her experience in banking, both on the commercial lending side, but on the residential side, as well as actually having her real estate license, but does not practice, seemed like a wonderful fit. She's heavily involved in community engagement and started the West Shore Young Professionals back in, I believe, around 2014, 2015, and that entity has since grown. So she still is a dedicated member of the community and volunteers with Bethesda Mission, the LEAF Project, but she understands a number of the aspects of what our organization does. So we would be proposing Ms. Neff Hull to the board and both boards. So it would be to the Housing Authority Board and the Redevelopment Authority Board. And the term is 5 years. That's codified in state law for both boards.
Any questions for Mary? Thank you very much, Mary. We'll move on then to agenda item number 9, which is Commissioner Liaison report, and I'll start by calling on Commissioner Eichelberger.
Which I just closed out of the email summaries that I had to look up something else, but I do have just a little bit of information. I asked Justin about the household hazardous waste event and he did send me a little information on that. I'll just share that. They had 233 customers, 24,277 pounds of household hazardous waste items, and again, the vast majority paint, number of other things, corrosives, swimming pool chemicals, and other things. But paint really seems to be the product that folks need to get rid of. So once again, a successful event there, and the website, of course, has the next event scheduled already. So on the MH side, there was Annie sent me a note that they had strong county representation at a 2-day Homeland Security and FBI sponsored threat assessment training session. And our criminal justice folks were involved in that as well. There's going to be a number of offices that are going to be collaborating with schools to create threat assessment teams, obviously a very timely issue given recent events. And so there is an active response going on to that, and joint effort to try to improve safety in the schools and communities, and our folks are very appropriately playing an external role in that. Also, they're spending quite a bit of time right now meeting with providers and reviewing programs and budgets. Just in anticipation of the new year, we all heard about the challenges there. So we always rely on the cooperation of our providers in terms of the timing of the account of payments and such, so we can stretch our dollars as far as possible until we can find a more permanent solution. So those meetings are underway, and we continue to promote a cooperative relationship with those providers so that we can continue to meet essential needs in the community. The only other item there is the deficit projection for the current fiscal years, now projected at $624,000. $624,000. Only other item I have is I wanted to mention about for Cumberland Area Economic Development Corporation. We did hold 2 meetings this week as part of the road mapping exercise for the recast on the strategic planning, and the hiring activity around the workforce development person is underway. And I don't know exactly where that stands, but Mr. Chicatano told me we anticipate having some good news on that sooner rather than later. Also, there are 3 meetings scheduled for the regional SEDS, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy multi-county initiative that's underway. And I know that Janet, our new director, and Gary Chicatano are meeting with, I believe, Kirkstone this afternoon to talk about the infrastructure related projects that we will be advocating for Cumberland County. So a lot of important activity happening around Cumberland Economic Development right now. They have their hands full, and of course we continue working on staffing that and giving Janet the best chance possible to get her feet under her experienced individuals. So that's happening very rapidly, and we have a series of meetings scheduled for the continued road mapping project. Each of the 4 task groups, subject areas, have 4 meetings scheduled so that we complete the process promptly. And we brought in some really stellar outside stakeholder groups to participate in that. And the first 2 meetings, as I mentioned, this week, and they went very, very well. So steady progress there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fauci.
Well, good morning, Cumberland County. I have a very brief update. Yesterday, Commissioner DiFilippo and I went to the No Tolls Capitol Rally. That was at 10 a.m. on the Capitol steps. Well, that was a good bipartisan event. Lots of conversation about the 9 bridges in Pennsylvania that could be subject to tolling, but that, of course, the lawsuits that Cumberland County brought in conjunction with our local municipalities has at least paused for the moment. So lots of good conversation about that. On June 7th, I went out to the National Security Seminar Reception at the Carlisle Barracks. That was really excellent. The Strolling Strings were there, which is the Army string group, and they were unbelievable. And the commandant had them all introduce themselves at the end, and they were really great. Lots of good education there. Musicians that studied at Juilliard and Harvard, and really fantastic. On June 2nd, PennDOT hosted the Market Street Bridge Public Officials Meeting in Wormleysburg, and there was good representation from Lemoyne, Wormleysburg, and East Penn. Kirk Stoner was there, and PennDOT went through their plan for what they believe will happen with the Market Street Bridge in terms of refurbishing it. It is a 100-year-old bridge. It is a historic bridge, so there was lots of good conversation with those elected officials. And PennDOT at the time, at that meeting, did indeed say that they will not be engaging in refurbishing that bridge at the same time that there is a building of the new 83 bridge. So we shall see, right? We shall see if they can hold to that. But let's be hopeful. I did go out to the household hazardous waste recycling event on Saturday morning, and I helped check people in. And what an awesome place to be. Unbelievable what our county employees do, what recycling and hazardous, what the recycling group does, what the group does that actually collects all those hazardous materials, and they just start separating them and really being very careful about not mixing things and how they're dumping them. And the residents of Cumberland County that are using that service are beyond grateful that we have it and it's available to them. And so I made sure to thank them. I'm so glad that stuff is not going into the landfill. It's not going into the water supply. It's really, what a good thing that we do. And finally, then on Sunday, the Simpson Library had a reception. And annually there, I don't know if you've ever been to the Simpson Library, you know, there are all these barriers along the edge of the parking lot. And so annually local artists paint those barriers. And they really are very beautiful. And so I went out for that reception and got to meet some local artists and support the library. And actually one of the Library Foundation trustees talked to me as the liaison to the library board and wondered, she's like, oh, do you get enough information? I said, oh, I get spectacular information. So we really had a good conversation about the library. And we talked about tutor.com and the fact that you can learn calculus. So there we go. That's what I have. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DiFilippo.
Yes, thanks, Stacy. I have no reports this cycle due to one meeting being canceled, one being rescheduled. But prior to the next workshop, I'll have updates on Aging Advisory Board, Housing and Redevelopment, Conservation District, and the Capital Region Council of Government. I do want to announce, though, that on June 22nd at 6 p.m., there will be a brief recognition of the 200th farm preserved through the county program. This will be at the Silver Spring Municipal Building. And mainly because the 200th farm is in Silver Spring, and due to the land preservation program in Silver Spring, co-broking with the county, township is picking up approximately 70% of these costs. So looking forward to that event. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would like to request an executive session be held immediately following our meeting. And I would ask if there is any other business to come before the board today. All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.